Alright, I'm back again making another video, this time about traps and Assassin, hardcore player state. Hopefully this is the video that's going to get me more than 3 views, and 2 of which are mine, but that's beside the point. And seriously guys, do you know how to get some fake followers, subscribers on YouTube? Because having only one, which is again me, is kind of depressing. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's get into this guide and let's start by checking out the skills. Oh, this is my level 85 Assassin, and this guide is actually made after the showcase video, so therefore in the showcase I was still level 84, but that's beside the point. Let's just get into the skills. And first of all, the easy stuff is traps. You max out Lightning Sentry, you max out Depth Sentry. That's pretty much the 2 skills you max out at first. Then you move on to Fire Blast, because in single player you need 2 types of elemental damage, 2 types of damages, and basically Fire Blast provides you that fire damage along with your main lightning damage. Once you get this skill to your max level, depending on your gear, you'll have from 2k to maybe like 4k damage. I have 3.2k, I think it's pretty decent. Even on players 8 it gets the job done. It's not quick, it's not pretty, but it gets the job done. And yeah, just dump the remaining points into Charged Ball Sentry and Shockweb. Yeah, so that's the easy part. Martial arts, of course, 0 points here, forget about this, never use this. And with that said, I plan on making a martial arts or a hybrid assassin. So have fun and yeah, good luck to me. And moving on to Shadow and Disciplines, this is probably where the most debate is going on around this page. What to use, what not to use, etc, etc. And let me just clear up a few things. Use Fade, use Shadow Master, use Mind Blast. That's it. There's really no discussion for single player hardcore, but if you want some reasoning, fine. First of all, the discussion between Burst of Speed and Fade. Fade provides you insane resistances and basically allowing you to use your gear for other mods like plus kills, because your kill speed is shit. It's absolutely fucking atrocious. Barbarian does more damage than you on player's 8, and that's, that's kind of below the belt. I mean, Assassin is a gal, so it's kind of okay, but yeah, that's just, it's not pretty. And yeah, you can see I have like 12 resistances to lightning, 20 to cold. Once I fade up, I have pretty much maxed out resistances to all. Not only that, but my curse duration also gets reduced by an insane amount, 80%. It's just ridiculous. Whenever you get amplified damage or whatever, like decrepified and so on and so forth, it gets instantly removed. Another thing is the hidden effect of Fade. Basically, every single point in Fade, or just your Fade level, provides 1% damage reduction. So I have a level 17 Fade, that means I have 17% damage reduction. And that's really awesome. For hardcore, it's a mandatory mod to have on somewhere. And for Assassin, it's really tough to get it elsewhere. The only reasonable option which provides damage reduction is Shaco, which I don't have, and that's only 10%. The other possible way of getting it, there's just not really any. Like all the armors that give you damage reduction, all the other mods are kind of shit for you. For example, Shaftsop, Leviathans. I know there's some other armor that gives you, or for example, a helmet, a Vampire's Gaze. What else? I can't remember any other items. regardless, like all of those items are for tanky, well, basically for tanks and not for casters, damage dealers. They provide no plus skills, no resistances, no life, no faster hit recovery. They're just overall poor choices for gear. So basically Fade becomes the only option for damage reduction. I mean, of course, if you have high-end gear, then just ignore this guide, go with burst of speed, one-shot everything, and don't give a fuck. But, I mean, that's kind of not what I'm trying to do here. Next up, weapon block, 1-point wonder. Don't put more points into it. It doesn't really scale that well. Like, as you can see, I have level 17 weapon block. If I put an extra point in it, I get absolutely nothing. There's no hidden effect to weapon block. And it's kind of the skill that makes you want to dual wield claws, because it can block any type of damage. It can block melee damage, it can block range damage, it can block elemental damage. So whenever a burning soul is casting lightning and the lightning is ripping through your merc, through your entire front line and hitting you, more than half of the time I will block it. And that's pretty awesome. Because as an assassin, you usually won't have high defense, so you will get hit oftentimes. I mean, that doesn't apply to lightning, but for ranged attacks. So yeah, you will get hit. Especially if you're kind of trying to, you know, speed run or just quickly pass through some annoying minions. Being able to block half of the incoming damage is pretty fucking awesome. Next up is Shadow Warrior versus Shadow Master. Again, for single player, there's really no debate. Shadow Warrior has no resistances. So let me just show you on, no, well, perhaps player saves. That'd be better. How durable Shadow Warrior and how durable Shadow Master, when compared, are. Let me just, you know, perhaps this is a good spot. Oh, these guys are too slow. Where's somebody who attacks a bit faster than they do? Can't find anyone. Oh, let me out. Let me out. Let me show the god. Fuck. Fuck. I don't like this at all. There's a Shadow Warrior. A bunch of Venom Lords, go die. I mean, it's already down to 80%, 50% HP, and it's already dead. Now I put my Shadow Warrior. Let's place it somewhere else next to the Pit Lords. Yeah, Pit Lords, exactly. I mean, it's not dying, it's not taking any damage. It's still surviving. It is surrounded. It's still surviving. It's fucking awesome. She's not dying. That's the point of it. That's your front line. I mean, the difference is insane, and that's not even taking into account all the elemental damage that she's resisting 80% of. That's one thing. Another thing, you probably want to put actually more than 1 point into this. Depending on the player count you're playing on, depending on how many plus skills you have, so basically how good your gear is, you might want to put more points into it. I know when I passed Hell with this character on player say, my gear was way worse. I probably had less, I had like 6 tall skills less than I currently have. So I had... what is it? Instead of 16, I had like 10 tall skills. So I put 6 points into Shadow Master just to make it durable enough. Yeah, so there's that. Next up is Cloak of Shadows. Of course, it's a prerequisite for Shadow, you know, clones and Mind Blast. But I also want to mention that you kind of should be using it. There's an annoying part to it, because you can see, I can see pretty much my entire screen clearly. Once I cast it, I can barely see shit. But then again, once you cast it, all the minions that are in that dark side, they kind of don't get aggroed by you just by seeing you. They don't come near you unless you start killing them. So it's a pretty nice defensive tool, as well as it does increase my defense. Yeah, blood maggots can only hit me 47% of the time. Once this wears off, it goes up to 58. So essentially making my opponents miss on average about 10% more frequently. That's pretty nice, considering my overall defense is rather low. This bonus is quite nice. Like, I don't have any additional multipliers, so it doesn't stack, negatively or whatever. It's a pretty nice bonus. Minus to enemy defense, 63%. Obviously, it doesn't work for traps. How well it does for your merc, I have no idea. Perhaps it doesn't work at all. But regardless, even if it didn't have this extra bonus to, removing enemies' defenses, I'd still be using. And Mind Blast is an amazing spell. Absolutely amazing. One of the best there is for crowd control, if not only, well, not only, but still one of the best ones. This skill alone makes Assassin viable in hardcore. Without it, you'd probably be a complete piece of shit, like a worse Boazon version or something. Yeah, that's how good this spell is. Like, it's seriously OP. So really use it, and in the showcase video I'll show how to use it, how I'm using it constantly. And this skill alone makes faster cast rate more valuable on Assassin than increased attack speed, which might sound silly, and I can already hear everyone roaring, but increased attack speed lets you lay traps faster. Well, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're dying, your traps are dying as well. So first it's survivability. That's why you need faster cast rate. Then it's convenience. That's why you need increased attack speed. Right, so with that out of the way, next up is stats. Absolutely standard stuff. Strength and dexterity for your gear, the rest into vitality. Mana will be an issue. It absolutely will be. That's why most likely you kind of want your merc to wear insight. I just had this for Diablo specifically. Oh, shit. Yeah, so Insight provides you all the mana you ever need, because the Sentry, Lightning Sentry costs 20 mana, Dev Sentry costs 20 mana with my current setup, which is pretty decent. I have 300, and usually to kill a reasonable pack of monsters, you need like 1 or 2 to 3 rotations of, 5 sentries. So 3 rotations of 5 sentries is already 300 mana. Unless you want to keep running into town, get an insight. I mean, it's really cheap. Like, Brawl Tir Soul, it's extremely cheap. Get it into any weapon. Right. So, stats, pretty much everything has been said. Items. There's one mod you really want, and that's plus kills, because you really want that damage. Now, there's 2 kinds of plus skills. You can get plus to, assassin skills or plus to traps. For hardcore, I would always prefer 2 to assassin skills rather than 3 to traps, because 2 to all skills also boosts your fate. So that means a couple of points extra damage reduction, a couple of extra resist to all, curse durations, whatever. It's a minor boost. If you don't have too many plus skills, then it means your weapon block is increased by 1 or 2%. Mind Blast, stun length, and chance to convert are also increased. And probably most importantly, your Shadow Master becomes tankier. So I always prefer 2 to assassin skills as opposed to 3 to traps. Now, for the actual gear, apart from plus skills, there's 3 mods you really want, and that's faster cast rate, increased attack speed, and faster hit recovery. Now, increased attack speed relies, well, basically gives you the trap laying speed. And here's a fun fact about it, is that your attack speed depends on the claw, if you're using claws, which is on the left side. So I have two different claws with two different attack speeds. I'll go to some cold plains. I'll place some sentries. You can see the laying speed. Now I switch up. Can't actually wear this. Jesus Christ. That's annoying. Let's see if I can get this. Yeah, you can see like how slow it is. I switch them in places and instantly gets faster. That's the point of it. I need to bug my strength. Nope, not this one. I need Dix. What? What the fuck? Just a second. Okay, I got this. Too many stats on myself. Right, now it's okay. So, yeah, increased attack speed for trap laying speed. However, it's not the most important speed. Like, the most important stat. Faster cast rate, you absolutely must have some of it, because that depends, your mind blasting speed depends on it. And basically when you're getting gangbanged by a group of, nasty modded champions or whatever, like extra fast with fanatics, etc., a few traps won't save your life. Mind blast will. So you need to be able to cast mind blast fast enough to avoid, well, pretty much death. Now, faster hit recovery, why it's needed, is because you block every single type of attack. You block 56% of the time any type of attack. So you'll be blocking a lot. And therefore, you want to have as much faster hit recovery as you can. So these free mods are kind of what you're looking for. Most importantly are skills, and then these free mods. Yeah, so for the core items, I kind of think there's only one really that you want, and it's pretty much Ravenfrost. Basically, the best source of cannot be frozen. Because if you get frozen, I mean, oh dear God, you're gonna be slow, and your trap laying speed is gonna be slow, and it's gonna be atrocious. Another actually decent source of cannot be frozen, I just found by accident, is this little piece of shitty armor. It gives plus to all skills, it gives magic damage reduced, and it cannot be frozen. So it's actually a surprisingly great armor for Assassin. I didn't really expect it. Because, again, faster cast rate isn't something you need that much. It's kind of okay. So if you have some really OP rings, like, double SOJ, I'd probably use double SOJ and this armor instead of whatever armor I'm currently wearing. So I would say this is pretty much the only core item of the gear. Now, you can use double claws, which are kind of easy to obtain. These are the claws I was using. So I was using my left one as the fast one with Shale. I was using my right one as the slow one, basically for resistances. So I socketed it with, I think, 10 to all resistances dual. They're pretty easy to obtain. I have numerous, claws with 2 to assassin skills. You can even get magic claws that have like 3 to traps, 3 to lightning sentry, 1 to mind blast, something OP like that. You can use those. It's just kind of annoying to pick up every single magic claw, guitar, and so on. It just takes too much time, so I'm only picking up magic ones, which is wrong, I know, but then again, it's too much of a pain in the ass. Right, and if you're not using claws, if you have some better gear like Hodo plus Spirit, that actually gives you more stats, more resistances, more of everything. If you actually need resistances, because I kind of have the max, so I'm getting from Bartuk's 30 faster hit recovery on each, as well as 20 strength, 20 dexterity, which are absolutely huge, effectively letting me put 80 points into vitality from these two Bartuks combined, and it's just absolutely huge. And the faster hit recovery, since you don't have, a shield, which oftentimes is the main, primary source for faster hit recovery. Well, and armor. So yeah, Claws I would say is the cheap option. With like Hodo and Spirit, you can get more plus skills, but it's a more expensive option. So kind of there's that and that. The weapon block, if you can go for more damage while staying quite safe in terms of resistances, so basically Hodo plus Spirit, weapon block can be whatever, because you're not gonna get hit that frequently. So as long as you have maxed out resistances, you'll be safe even if you don't block like over 50% of the time. Other items are pretty much as many plus skills as I can, and some other useful mods. Using a caster ring just to reach a specific breakpoint. On boots, there's not too many mods that you're looking for. Like, I don't need resistance at all, so I kind of want faster hit recovery, stats, and faster run walk, pretty much what Sandstorm are giving. And there's a lot of options, very similar. Gloves, there's a couple of options. I want faster cast rate because that's pretty easy to get on the gloves and quite a reasonable amount. Like, it's way tougher to get faster cast rate on your amulet or on your helmet. That's why I kind of want to get it on my gloves. If you don't have them, if you don't have these gloves or Mage Fist, there's another really cool option that's really cheap, really easy to find. It's Blood Fist Heavy Gloves. They give you free stats that you really want: increased attack speed, faster hit recovery, 40 to life. That's really amazing gloves. The only thing it doesn't have is faster cast rate, so basically you need to get it somewhere else, like on your rings, on your amulet, on your helm, or on your armor. I'm using Arachnid Mesh. In a lot of areas, I would swap this for Thunder Gods, just because, your primary damage is lightning. So basically, lightning immunes will be dealing lightning damage. For example, Burning Souls. And naturally, it will take a lot of time to kill those Burning Souls because you can't deal with them with your primary damage. So therefore, they'll be dealing quite a bit of damage to you. Naturally, you want to resist that. Therefore, Thunder Gods. Other options are pretty much whatever you're lacking. You can use, even Night Smoke if you need resistances. You can use, these ones are shit. Nosferatus, perhaps, for some strength and increased attack speed. You can put those 15 strength into vitality instead. Perhaps not the best option. String of Years is kind of legit. It provides the additional damage reduced by percentage. Since with Fade, you will have most likely less than 20%. So the actual damage reduction on String of Years actually benefits you quite a bit, since the cap on damage reduction is, I think, 40%. With Fade up to 20, you'll still be nowhere near that. Right, so that's another option for your belt. And if it's resistances that you need, you can just get some rare belt with, 40 total resistance, like 20 fire, 20 lightning, something along those lines. Maybe gamble it, maybe just pick up some rare belts, and yeah, you'll be fine. Last thing is probably the armor. I'm going with, just 1 to all skills, some faster cast rate, some faster hit recovery, and magic damage reduced by 9, which is quite significant. Don't underestimate, really, versus something like Diablo's Firestorm, when each tick deals minor damage, but there's a shitload of them. Magic damage reduced by 9, it works against all elemental damages. So yeah, it's quite significant after all the resistances calculations, all the calculations. The remaining points can just be mitigated by this type of reduction. I do have treachery, but I actually chose not to use it. And that's a kind of interesting debate when it comes to budget builds. Do you want something like this plate or Skin of the Viper Magi or, treachery? And the problem with treachery is the mods that it kind of gives you, they're not really that useful. Like, you can proc Venom on strike, which is absolutely useless. You can proc Fade when struck, but the problem is you'll be staying so far back, and since it only procs 5% of the time, most of the time you'll be running without Fade. So that means you'll be running with 12 lightning resistances. So imagine a Burning Soul hits you. Then you can say you can pre-proc it, but then again, it will only last, how long? 300 seconds, 250, somewhere around that. So you kind of need to pre-proc it constantly, and if you're playing on a higher player count, 300 seconds is not that much. It won't get you far in one area. So it will take a lot of time to just constantly pre-proc it and so on. And in some acts, it's pretty hard to pre-proc it. Like in Act 5, just out of the, town's gate, you can stand on the fire and wait for those 5% to hit. But in other acts, it's way tougher. You need actual minions to hit you. So yeah, that will only cost you a lot of times. The other problem is I currently have better Fade than the one that would proc from Treachery. Treachery is fixed at level 15 Fade. I have level 17 without leveling it up at all. So overall, I just want to always have this Fade procced. I'm standing in the back. I won't be hit that much, but when I do hit, I want to make sure that I don't just randomly die. That's my reason for it. Next up you have on Treachery is 45% increased attack speed, which is really nice. But again, like I said at some point in this video, attack speed is more of a convenience stat rather than must-have. Like, I would rate faster cast rate as more important up to some point than increased attack speed. And in my next video, the showcasing video, I'll show it perfectly why whenever you're laying traps, you're just facing no harm, so you can put them as low as you want. The only problem is it really gets annoying when you just put them so slowly. That's why I kind of want the Cannot Be Frozen mod. But faster cast rate, you need to cast it as soon as you can, as fast as you can, because oftentimes you'll be chased down by monsters, like extra fast monsters running towards you, and if you get surrounded, you'll die immediately. You're not barbarian, you don't have a leap, you're not a sorceress, you don't have teleport. Yeah, you'll just die. And yeah, the last mod on Treachery is 30 to cold resistance, which is absolutely negligible for an armor. Like, socket any unique armor with a toe, and you have 30 to cold resistances. So for this play, for example, it provides me with faster cast rate, faster hit recovery, more defense, which is also a pretty decent thing. Holy shit, Diablo walks the earth. Nice. After I'm done with this video, I'll go hunt an Annie for myself. Sweet. Anyway, the defense. Since Treachery provides 0 enhanced defense, your defense will be 500 only. And just to check, so 81% if I have 500, 58, so there's a difference of what, 23%? Yeah, 23%, so somewhere in the middle. Yeah, you'll roughly get hit 10% more frequently than with any unique armor, which has over 1000 defense. This is an upped armor, but I mean, upping an armor doesn't cost crazy much, so essentially saving me like 10% of the time more frequently. So that's why I kind of don't like Fade. I mean, treachery, all of those bonuses I kind of get, except the +2 to assassin skills. I prefer to get them elsewhere. They're not as needed, or I prefer to work around them. And yeah, something like, I really don't know how to pronounce this place name. I think it's just an overall better option than treachery. Of course, if you don't have this armor or Skin of the Viper Magi, which I don't either, treachery is a fine option. It's not a huge difference, but you still should be looking to pre-proc fade yourself and really saving yourself 2 skill points for the chance for fade to proc is not really a good idea for hardcore. You want fade on you all the freaking time. Yeah, I actually think. No, never mind. Last thing is inventory. If you can get Torch and Annie, that's perfect. When I passed with this character, I didn't have them. Traps and Shadow Disciplines, killers, both are really awesome. Traps, well, self-explanatory. Killing speed is definitely the thing you'll be lacking. Like, with Mind Blast alone and maxed out resistances, you'll be as safe as it gets. You'll be just as safe as, the Boazon I showed in one of my videos. Nobody will really be able to get to you. Killing speed will be the problem. Shadow and Disciplines, they just kind of boost your tankness. They boost, again, Fade, Shadow Master, your frontline, your Mind Blast, and Cloak of Shadows, and Weapon Block. So all 4 of these skills are really useful, 5 actually. So Shadow and Disciplines killers, at least to some extent, they are useful. Like, if you have too many points, your Fade doesn't... like, for example, Weapon Block, extra points into Weapon Block don't improve it anymore. Well, actually, never mind. That only applies to Weapon Block. The rest are still being increased by plus skills. So if I had another, Shadow Disciplines killer, I'd probably use it. And the rest of your inventory just fill out with whatever you're lacking. Is it health? Is it resistances? Is it perhaps faster run walk, faster hit recovery? Just whatever you can get your hands on. So yeah, that's it for the video. I hope more than one person watches it. That one, of course, being me, because I mean, I gotta watch myself. Oh god damn, it's so fucking sexy. But yeah, I hope somebody watches it, gets something useful out of it. And yeah, feel free to comment. Any types of feedback, negative, positive, I don't give a shit at this point. Just somebody please interact with me. Thank you.